What a disappointment. I'm talking about the Yamaha PSR e473. And if you're wondering why I'm not so proud of it anymore, lack of MIDI support. Now, for any musician, when it comes to MIDI file support, MIDI support is crucial. And Yamaha, on this model, has demonstrated a lack of GM compliance on the Yamaha PSR e473. And I've got the evidence to prove it. This version of Livin' La Vida Loca, which is a MIDI file, and the song was originally by Ricky Martin, considered one of the best artists of all time. Here's how it sounds on this keyboard. Oh no, this is Mambo number 5, not Ricky Martin. Mambo number 5. I forgot where I was at. Let's listen to Mambo number 5 as an example. Listen to this. I can't gig with that because the drum samples are not mapped properly and MIDI channel 10 is clearly not recognised by the keyboard. Whereas, if I go over to my Mac
downloads
and
50,000 MIDI files, 42 items, folder, icon,
play the same MIDI file on that, if I can find it.
biotic, icon, Lunes, local Lumions, Lumega, folder,
There we go.
icon,
And I play the same file.
Mango under, open, VLs,
Look at that. The drums are recognised. And the Mac MIDI synthesizer is as old as that one found on older versions of Windows. So let's go back to the Ricky Martin scenario. Even I can hear there are no drums in there. This keyboard clearly isn't suitable for gigging anymore. Well, at all, if at all possible. The Yamaha PSR 8000, which was my best keyboard, absolutely had better MIDI support than this. It's clear this keyboard wasn't meant for performing, it was meant for home use. Now, the PSR e473 on its own is really good when it comes to performing home performers, but for gigs now, I don't think I can use this. Or MIDI support. The only option now is converting them in GarageBand. So if we go back to the same MIDI file on the Mac,
Finder, Lumega window,
let me find it.
50,000 MIDI files, 42 items, folder, icon view, collection.
Where is it? It's on
Hit songs,
Hit Songs.
icon,
Sorry about the noise. Where is it? Ricky Martin. Here we go.
icon, lan underscore, living underscore lan underscore.
And you're going to notice a difference when I play this on the Mac.
Open VLC. Media player. Mando.
That, my friends, is true MIDI support right there. Apple clearly knew what they were doing. You know, I'm kind of starting to think that maybe the Yamaha PSR e473 is not the best keyboard I've ever owned after all. It's got all these great features for an affordable price and no GM compliance. I don't know, guys. I think I've been conned. The manual did say GM compliance, but... And those MIDI files that are in that collection that I'm using for the gig are also GM. compatible. But this keyboard, out of every keyboard I've owned, is not GM compliant. Even my PSR220 could easily play these MIDI files, and that doesn't even have a USB port. So what have we learned, guys? Well, we've learned that the Yamaha PSR e473's poor MIDI support makes it unsuitable for performances, at least gigs anyway. If you wanna go on gigs, your best bet is by converting the MIDI files for use into audio files, because the keyboard can play direct audio for USB, and then doing it that way, because relying on MIDI alone, most people don't realise that MIDI files don't contain audio data. They contain musical data in which a synthesizer is supposed to recognise it. And the performance of the Yamaha PSR e473 has under-delivered. It's incredibly poor. Now, if this keyboard actually got a firmware update that added, if it was capable of getting them, this would actually improve that. I wonder if the PSR SX900 supports GM. I should imagine it does. It's a top of the line arranger. That's the only bad thing about the PSR e473. Its MIDI support is abysmal, and for musicians wanting to perform with MIDI files, you're going to have to convert them if you're going to want to have a successful gig. And luckily I've got a Mac, so I'm going to do that on GarageBand. And I should imagine if I was to replay these MIDI files on Windows, they'd sound the same as they do on the Mac. The Mac uses the same synthesizer as on Windows, although the Mac has the benefit of using reverb. So, yeah, the Yamaha PSR e473. Disappointing in the MIDI department. Now, I bet you're thinking the Yamaha PSR e473 is a bad buy overall. No, it isn't, because despite those shortcomings, it's got some really good features. Super articulation, indeed. Well, it's actually super articulation Lite, taken from the PSR 8000. But it's got a lot of features we asked for, especially the Groove Creator, and some good new voices. But the MIDI support lacks. The manual did say it was GM compliant, but I know the truth. It isn't GM compliant. I bet even my Rock Jam or J761 could play these files, and that's a no-name keyboard. So I'm going to show you what your alternatives are, fellow musicians, and you're going to be shocked. Since the Yamaha PSR e473 isn't GM compatible anymore, not considered anyway, compared to the PSR 8000, you've got other options. Now, considering the quality you just heard from my Mac back there, you've got a MacBook Pro, definitely consider using its default MIDI output. You'll want to install VLC or any other MIDI software, or convert the files for use in GarageBand and then use them on the keyboard, because it supports WAV audio formats. Your next bet is Linux. Now, on Linux, you've got plenty of really cool sound fonts, so you can use one of those. I highly recommend the SGM sound font, or the general user sound font, or Fluid R3, because they're the best sound fonts that are going to help you. These three are fully GM compliant and will help you in gigs, and should help you support the majority of MIDI files. The next thing I can consider is probably not using MIDI files at all and creating your own variations on the songs that you want to do. And that's what I might consider doing. Pardon me, that's just my phone. I might consider doing that because I have control over what instrument gets put into the song. I've got a 5-track sequencer that I can work with, plus a 6th track preserved for accompaniment. I've got 10 user songs, and that's considered one of the best features on the PSR e473. Well, it's not new per se to that keyboard, but the PSR e453 was likely the first one to introduce it. But you get the point. MIDI files on the PSR e473, I don't recommend it. The tone generator is not suitable for MIDI playback. So, to summarise, what do I recommend? Always bring a laptop. I can't stress this enough. The PSR e473 without MIDI is good on gigs. If you don't plan on using MIDI support, you'll want to use something else for your backing tracks. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm not going to be using MIDIs for my backing tracks. I plan to upload a video of the gig I'm going to be doing pretty soon for Mother's Day. But that's just made me have to reconsider things. So I'm going to see if I can convert them on. I'm going to have to see if I can convert the MIDI files on GarageBand. Give the PSR e473 a second chance. And if I can't get any decent sound quality out of even GarageBand and these MIDIs, then quite simply I'm going to have to bring a computer with me to serve as my backing accompaniment. My accompaniment is that even a word? My backing tracks. Because now I've only just realised how abysmal the MIDI support is on the e473. But do I still recommend the PSR e473 for everything else? And the answer to that is yes. If you're not going to be using it for MIDI playback, it's a good keyboard for other stuff. I mean, you've got the Groove Creator, which is fun to mess with, although that's nothing new. Although this time the Groove Creator's got the added benefit of using these. And now I'm not doing this with the control knobs this time, I'm using the motion effects, and I'm going to go ahead and hold shift, press this, and now I've got a pitch shifter. Look at that! You couldn't do that on the 463. That is impressive. So if you do plan on gigging with your PSR e473 or PSR EW425 for that matter, don't use MIDI files. Convert them to audio if you can, using preferably a GM compatible converter. And then what you can do is then audition them onto the keyboard's default audio player, because you'll be able to do a little bit with that. You'll be able to do things with the audio player. And if you can't do that, then consider bringing a laptop with the files on them and hooking both the computer and the keyboard up to the PA system. That lack of GM compatible support though has really disappointed me. I just can't believe it. Anyway, enough of my ramblings.
Pause with stop, take it.
This is Jordan signing off saying have a good day everyone.